Do you want something that's really quick, really easy, and really cheap, and very flexible on the kinds of things that you can use in it? Stir fry. The 2 words, stir fry. You just watch the video. Hey Provident Preppers, I'm Sam. Welcome back to another episode of Frugal Friendly Foods. It has been a fat minute since I have been here. Do you want me to tell you why it has been so long since I have been here? Sammy, will you come join me for a second? So there has been somebody who has occupied the better part of my life for a little while now. This is the reason you have not gotten any Frugal Friendly Foods. No, we have no remorse. Today we're going to be making something that I really love. We're making stir fry. It's very good, very inexpensive, and there's a lot of different ways that you can mix it up. One of the things that we're gonna be doing here on this episode, you can buy store-bought stir fry sauces and they're pretty good, but Sammy here, she has celiac disease, and so she cannot have gluten, which means she can't have those normal stir fry sauces because pretty much all of them use normal soy sauce, which has gluten in it. So today we're not only going to be teaching you how to build your own stir fry, but we're also going to be showing you how to make your own stir fry sauce as well. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our sauce. We're going to keep the sauce very simple. There's lots of different things that you can do. We're going to be using a soy sauce alternative that's gluten-free. It's called liquid aminos, but there are other soy sauce alternatives out there. So we're gonna put in half of a cup. We're gonna add half of a cup of chicken broth. You can use vegetable broth or beef broth. Then we're gonna add just a splash of white rice vinegar, somewhere between half a teaspoon and a teaspoon. I hope that's what that was. And then we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of sugar. And then, this is what's gonna thicken it up. You're gonna add 1 to 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now what I've chosen to do, what you're supposed to do is put it in a bowl and get a whisk and just do that. I'm really lazy. So what I did is I got a mason jar and I put in a blender bottle attachment. I'm just gonna shake that up. And it should also help to get a lot of the clumps out of the cornstarch. Super, super easy. Our wok is starting to get very hot, and so we're gonna get ready to start cooking the chicken. First thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna add some vegetable oil, just enough to cover the bottom of the wok, because that's what we're gonna cook our chicken into. But we need to wait for this to heat up for a little bit, so we're gonna let it do that. All right, now that our oil is heated up, and just as a side note, quick little way that you can know if your oil is heated up enough. Take a little piece of your onion, which we'll use later, toss it in, and if it has that immediate crackle, sizzle, and floats to the top, it means it's ready to go. So, just a little pro tip of the day. We're gonna be using some just diced up chicken thigh. You can get chicken thigh, it's a cheaper cut of meat, but you can get it even cheaper if you buy it with the bones still in. And if you're willing to do that extra work of just dicing it off the bone and getting that yourself, you can actually save a lot of money doing that. For example, a big flat of chicken will be like $9 or $10, whereas if you were to get the boneless, skinless, the stuff that the work has already been done for you, it's gonna run you like $4 or $5 more. And I know that some of that weight is bone, but the bones don't weigh all that much. And you can take the bones and you can make chicken broth out of them. It's the circle of life for stir fries. So we're just gonna let this sit and cook in the oil on high until it's cooked through. While we're waiting for that to cook, let me go over the other ingredients. We're gonna be making kind of a string bean chicken type of a recipe. So we have our aromatics, our spices. We have garlic and we have onions. Those are kind of be the first spices, and then at the end, we have sesame oil. You'll remember this if you watched our fried rice video, which, as a side note, you should go check that out and make these 2 things same time. And then we have white rice cooking back here, but you can just serve your stir fry over fried rice and it's just as good. But yeah, sesame oil is an aromatic that I use very frequently, especially when I'm making stir fries. I never make a stir fry without it just because it adds so much depth of flavor. Adds kind of like a nutty taste to it, which is really good. Make sure before you toss in your sauce, the starch will start to separate a little bit from the rest of it. It will sink to the bottom. Make sure that your sauce is all stirred up and good to go so that you do have a sauce that thickens up properly. Another thing that I have been doing that hasn't taken quite as much of my time, I'm an ambassador for Bucked Up, so that's cool. I don't know, if you guys are into working out and like Bucked Up or want to try Bucked Up, we'll put links to how you can get some Bucked Up. And you can use my code, save a little bit of money. And you know what? I don't know if I even mentioned this when Samantha was on here, but we're getting married, so that's cool. If you want to get us a wedding present, just buy some Bucked Up and I'll get some commission and it all works out. Everybody goes home happy. So, all right, so we want to make sure that this chicken's not going to kill anybody because that's kind of important. And so what you're going to do is you're going to pick out one of your bigger pieces of meat in here. I would say that's probably average to a little bit bigger. And you're just going to temp it. If nothing else, you can just crack it open and make sure that it's not pink. But this is reading as 172. You want to get it above 165. So this should be good to go. So we're just gonna, what we're gonna do is we're gonna drain off some of this oil first and foremost. And then we're gonna put this chicken aside in another bowl. All right, so now that we've got the wood, let's build a house. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna toss in our garlic. Get that moving a little bit. Then we're gonna toss in our onion directly after that. Let those two ingredients marry each other just a little bit. I love the smell of onions and garlic together. Make sure that our sauce is ready to go. All right, so they're starting to get translucent. They're not fully sauteed, but we don't want them to be. We're gonna toss that chicken back in. That's so awkward. Okay, we're gonna stir that around. And then this is where things they stray more from the rocket science-y type stuff. You're just gonna dump in you know what, we're just gonna use the whole thing, because why not? And then we're gonna start to stir this around. And once it starts to boil, it's gonna thicken and darken a little bit as well. And that'll make a really good solution to coat the outside of our next special guest onto the show, which is our string beans. We're gonna take our string bean, toss that in, and then take some sesame oil, put it around the back. And that, I mean, I'm never precise with it. It was probably about a tablespoon, maybe a little bit less than that. I think we should be good to go. So we're gonna turn off our heat. We're gonna let it rest for a second and we'll be ready to put it over rice. Now, something that I have failed to do, which I was planning on doing, is talking about how this really isn't a set recipe per se. Frugal friendly foods have always kind of been about like a set recipe. This is something that you can kind of play around with. We gave you the recipe for the sauce, but honestly, you have kind of 4 main parts of your stir fry. You have your spices slash aromatics, you have your meat, you have your sauce, and you have your veggies. And that's kind of something that you can play around with and figure out what you like. Actually, last night, one of the things that I did was in like 20 minutes, I threw some just stew chunks of beef on the wok, and I grilled those up, and I added some dehydrated minced onions, and I added some sauce, and I added some broccoli, and it was really good. Served it over some minute rice. There's a lot of different things that you can do. You can just play around with it. So that's for you to figure out. But I don't think this food was meant to just sit here. I think we should have some people come on and taste test it. So after like 20 minutes of not so hard work, we have brought on a couple of Harvard PhD test subjects. So they're gonna try it. And we're gonna find out. Whoa.
highly recommend.
Wow, that's some high praise from a PhD.
I think this is the best thing I've ever eaten.
Okay. Your thoughts?
It's food from heaven. Well made.
All right, there we go. So you guys should try this recipe. It is absolutely phenomenal, and it takes very little of your time. Some very simple ingredients, and yeah, it's just really good stuff. And now for the question of the day. What kind of things would you put in your stir fry? Comment below, and thanks for being part of the solution.